Hello, everyone. Um, so, all right. So my name is Meg Swartwood. I work at CTS at the help desk, and I'm going to be presenting on Google Gemini and NotebookLM today. And if you guys want a copy of the presentation, you can just go ahead and scan this QR code. And if you don't want it on your phone, you want it on your computer, you can just go ahead and copy and paste that link into your browser. So before we get into today's content, I just wanted to ask everyone to please hold all general questions until the end of the presentation, just so we can get through all the demos and all of the content. And I also wanted to mention that if you do have specific questions regarding personal identifiable information or PII, just plan to attend the PII presentation on Thursday, January 15th. That starts at 9 a.m. That'll answer all questions about PII. If you cannot attend that, or you have like highly specific questions or just any questions in general, you can always email us at help@oswego.edu. And we also have an advanced session for Google Gemini on Friday, January 16th. That also starts at 9 a.m. And that just goes over some more advanced features such as deep research and gems. Okay. And so now I'm just going to go over our strategic plan. It's not just about managing technology, it's about transforming SUNY Oswego through innovation, equity, agility, and resilience, directly advancing the university's mission of transforming lives and igniting possibilities. So let's take a look at what we're going to go over today. So first, we're going to begin with AI best practices and do's and don'ts. Next, we'll cover how to write effective prompts. We'll then highlight key features of both Gemini and NotebookLM. After that, we'll jump into live demos for both of those tools. And then finally, we'll finish off with questions, general questions, and a quick survey if you have time to complete it. All right, so before we get into this, I just want to get everybody signed into Gemini and NotebookLM first. Let me see if I can do it on here. So to get Gemini, you can either type in gemini.google.com. And then for NotebookLM, there's also a URL. It's going to be notebooklm.google.com. If you just want to open those in two separate tabs. If you don't want to type all that in, you can also just go over here, the menu here. Gemini is going to be the little sparkle icon here. And then NotebookLM is towards the bottom, and it's this icon right here. So just have those open in two separate tabs. And make sure that you are signed into your school account into Chrome, because that's how you have access to both of those through the school. So I'll give you guys some time to do that. If you need any help, let us know in the chat or.
I'm sorry, what do we do for NotebookLM? Because I tried, it didn't seem to work.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
I didn't know what we type in for Notebook to open up.
Yeah, if you want, I believe it's up there in the URL right there. It's just notebooklm.google.com.
Try that, but it says the site can't be reached.
Okay. Amanda, do you think you could send the URL? Amanda's gonna send the URL in chat for NotebookLM. Were you able to access Gemini?
Yeah,
Okay.
Gemini, yes, but
Gotcha.
shoot, I thought so. Now,
There you go. All right, so the link's now in chat. All right. So we'll go back to the slideshow. Okay. So now we're going to go over the best practices, AI do's and don'ts. So we do have an AI webpage just dedicated to AI through SUNY Oswego. So I'm going to go to that. And it's going to be Oswego, .edu AI. And I also, in this presentation, there is a link to the best practices at the end of the presentation too, if you want to look at them later. So this is the AI website. Then if you scroll down, there's going to be, let's see, where is it? Under resources. Resources. Okay. Yep, right here. Okay. All right. So to navigate these tools responsibly, our AI site outlines best practices and goes into depth about privacy, security, ethics, data accuracy, and sustainability. AI is a very powerful tool and it matters how we use it. So for privacy, so we do know that we have enterprise grade protection through Gemini, which means that Gemini does not use the information or files that you upload to Gemini to train its models. However, unless you know you have this protection, other large language models, they do use this information to train the models. With or without this protection, it is still very important not to upload any PII or personally identifiable information, such as social security numbers or college IDs. So just be very careful with what you upload on here, onto Gemini. We'll move on to ethics. So since AI generated content cannot be copyrighted due to lacking human authorship, always provide attribution. Additionally, sometimes the content generated by AI isn't entirely inclusive or may be biased. So keep this in mind and ask yourself when you get the output from Gemini, is it missing anything? What do you see? What don't you see? Is this truly representative of what you want to convey? And this can also be seen especially in photos, but it has been getting better with the new updates to the photo generation. Now for data accuracy. So AI outputs can suffer from a data cutoff date, which means that it doesn't know any like current events up to a certain date. So you can't really ask it about like the news or anything like that. And it also may provide inaccurate information, which is known as hallucinations. Sometimes things might be spelled wrong in picture generations, which it is getting better at that. Or links provided won't be valid sources. And sometimes if it doesn't know the answer to something, it will just make it up. So you have to keep that in mind and always fact check what you're getting out of Gemini because you don't want to spread false information to other people or to yourself. All right, and then security. So just like AI is helping us become more productive, it too can also help hackers be more productive. So AI enhances the creation of malicious content like deepfakes and sophisticated phishing emails, making it more important to be very suspicious of any emails that don't look quite right. And if you do think that you have received a phishing email, you can always forward it to us at help@oswego.edu and we'll send it over to our security team. Then finally, we have sustainability. So the use of AI, even for a single query, consumes energy and contributes to emissions, promoting ongoing research and efforts by companies to reduce environmental impact. So if you can just do a simple Google search for something, use that instead of AI. AI should be more used for things to become more productive, research, things like that. All right. So move on for this, go back to the slideshow. right, so effective prompting. So it is tempting to use Gemini for quick, simple queries, but to unlock the true high quality and useful information, you should focus on how you are structuring your prompts. So first, we have the 4 things here that you should include in your prompt. First is the persona. So for that, you will tell it what it is. For example, you are a math student, you're a receptionist, you work in IT, you're a history professor. This way, it can give you more specialized information. Then you have context. This is the why and where, telling it the situation, giving it background information. And then the task, this is what you want it to do. And then the format. So this is the structure that you want the output to be in, whether that's bullet points, charts, paragraphs, the length of the paragraphs. Yeah. And using effective prompting, it also minimizes the back and forth. So this would allow you to get the right result with fewer prompts, which also saves time from the start. And so this is just an example. So on the left, we have a bad prompt, which is just very simple, help me draft a meeting agenda. This doesn't really give much information. I think if you were to put a simple prompt like that into Gemini, it actually would ask for more information. And then on the right, you have act as administrative assistant, that's the persona, review the 3 attached meeting minutes, context to draft a structured meeting agenda, that's the task. Include a section for old business, new business by topic, and a table of next steps assigned by person, which is the format. So just keep that in mind when you're prompting Gemini. All right, so now we're going to go over the tools themselves. All right, so these are the basics. So as I mentioned before, it is Gemini is enterprise. We have enterprise grade protection. It's also free and secure through the school. So that's why you're going to want to log in with your school email address. And so Gemini is an advanced Google AI model and uses both external and internal sources. So internet and source space. So source space meaning anything that you upload into it. You can use it for creative endeavors, for brainstorming. You can have a conversation with it. You can use it to draft like an essay or give you an outline for an essay. You can use it to summarize things, and it can also give you insights. And NotebookLM is your research assistant. So this means that it is source-based, so it's grounded in the content that you upload to it. You can also have it find you resources. Sometimes it may be better just use your own because then you know they're actually reliable. And it will give you clear citations based on the sources that you upload, and it also has a wide variety of learning tools that you can use based on the content. So this just goes more into depth about the features. We're not going to cover all of these today. Some of them are covered in the advanced presentation this Thursday, such as deep research, GEMS, guided learning. There's also things like images. So obviously it can generate images. There's Gemini in Chrome, which I'll show you. Gemini Live, that is where you can share your camera or screen and get real-time spoken responses. This can also be used on a mobile device. Sometimes that may be easier just for the camera aspect of it. And then you also have Google Workspace app integration, which we'll go over, and it has direct access to summarize your emails, documents, files. It can also schedule things for you in your Google Calendar, which I find really helpful. All right. And then NotebookLM features. So as I mentioned before, it provides clear citations to the sources that you upload. It's easy sharing. So if you create a notebook with your chosen sources, you can share it to students and others. We'll go over multiple learning tools. They have flashcards, quizzes, infographics, even podcasts that it can generate. And it has multilingual support, so it offers capabilities in over 80 different languages. Now, there are some limitations that you should be aware of. So to maximize your productivity with these tools, it's important to understand their current boundaries and operational limits. AI can feel like magic, but it does have specific file size caps, query limits. Knowing these ahead of time prevents frustration, like when a tool stops responding or it rejects a large file. So here's, I'm not gonna go through all of them, but for example, you can only do 100 image, I mean, that's a lot, but you could do 100 image generations per day. Videos can be up to 2 gigabytes or up to 5 minutes. All other file types can be up to 100 megabytes. So the links down below, if you did get this presentation, you can click on those and that will give you some more information directly from Google about this. And same thing for the next slide. So this is for NotebookLM. You can have 100 notebooks per user, 50 sources each, daily limits of 50 chat queries, 3 audio generations, and all that. And then down here, you have the link for more specific information on that from Google. All right. So now we will get into the demo. So if you guys want to go, we're going to do Gemini first. So if you want to pull up that Gemini tab that I had you log into, I'm going to do that. I'm just going to show you around first. So over here, this is just where you're going to type in the prompt that you have. This is where you can add files. You can upload files from your computer, from Drive. You can import code. If you click on this, for some reason it's not working. But there should be, when you click on this, there should be a list of all of the tools, which is the features that I had just went over for Gemini. And then over here, this is where you can find all of your history, your chat history. Gems will be here. That'll be covered in the advanced session. And then if you want to do a new chat, you just click this button. It'll open a new chat. So if you were already in a chat, you can open a new one. And then it gives you kind of like prompts down here. And then you can also search, which I find helpful sometimes if I want to find something that I had previously asked. All right. So the first thing we'll do, and this is going to be kind of showcasing how a simple prompt isn't always the best option. So I have this one. Draft a short email to a local alumnus inviting them to guest speak in your class. We're going to put that in and see what it comes up with. So it does give us an email. However, it might be too long. You might think that we might want to kind of revise this and give it a better prompt. Let's see. All right. So, and we also might want to add things like the class name, the school name, since it didn't fill that in because it doesn't know that information. So I'm going to put in a new prompt with that information. And we'll just say course name, do web media. About. And so in this, I'm giving my class the topic, and it's saying draft a short email. So hopefully it will be a bit shorter. And it gives include 3 specific discussion questions and mention meeting for coffee at Lake Effect Cafe to prepare. So that makes it definitely more catered to what you would want. It didn't make it shorter though. I think it actually might be longer, but that might be because I had to include more information. So, but you could continue to revise if you wanted to. And then usually what Gemini does is it will ask a follow-up question. So you could just say yes or no if that's what you wanted. Right. No. So say you are teaching a specific topic coming up next week, and you want to come up with 2 discussion starter questions that you can use to get your students talking at the beginning of class, and in addition to also a 30-minute small group activity that will engage your students. So what I did, so the one I just did is operations management. And then I'm teaching a lesson on sustainable supply chain management next week. And then I just asked for those two things. Yeah, then it gives us a lot of information here, discussion starters, 2 options, and then small group activity. So this is good for just brainstorming. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to use exactly what it's telling you to. But if you look at it and you can apply it to what you're teaching them, then it could be a really useful tool. And that gives you the tasks. It also, I think, tells you how to break down like how many students. I mean, I guess you didn't tell me how many students that you have in the class, but you could also tell it how many students you have in the class. So it could recommend like group size as well. Okay. And then, so let's say you have a student and you teach an introductory class and they're having trouble understanding a specific topic. Does anybody have like a specific topic that they have in mind that might be complicated for a student to understand in a class that they're teaching?
I'll give one. You can, students have a difficult time understanding disparate impact discrimination.
Okay, let's see. Where did my mouse go?
Mike said production equation.
Douglas production function.
Okay,
Although
we'll do-
Michael's might be better.
so what was it? Sorry, I wasn't able.
Douglas production function.
Comp,
COBT hyphen Douglas.
Douglas.
LAS.
production.
And then production function.
Okay. All right. So let me get my prompt in here. So I did that. Let's get that out of the way. Okay. So explain the concept of Cobb-Douglas production function using an analogy that a student with no prior background in this field would understand. Make the explanation bullet points as well as small paragraphs. We want to keep it easy to read. And it might take a second. Right. So it gives an analogy, which is always helpful. I don't know what this is, so maybe I could use this. But yeah, it explains the breakdown of it all, key concepts for the students, formulas. And then it also, again, will ask a follow-up question. Would you like me to create a practice problem based on this bakery analogy to help the student test their understanding? So yeah, that could be very helpful. And you could just even do this during class, like if they have a specific, question, and you're not really sure how you can explain it to them. This is a quick way to do that. Right. Now this one's really helpful. I'm an adjunct, so I've used this before. But you can, let me just put this prompt in here. So you can upload an assignment outline. Obviously, you're going to want to double check this and change it how you want it to be. Don't just use, obviously, what Gemini gives you. But it can create a rubric for you based on an assignment that you can upload. So I'm just going to go ahead and upload one of my assignments. Oh, that's, hold on a second. Sorry. Do it from Drive. So this is just for an exercise for logo design that I had them do. And so include 5 to 4 criteria, performance levels, excellent, proficient, etc., concise descriptions for each level, and suggested value points. Use neutral, student-friendly language suitable for undergraduate coursework. And then it will give you a rubric. And this is particularly helpful if you don't want to have to type out all of the levels, because that can become time consuming. Obviously, if you've been teaching for a while, you probably do have rubrics already, but maybe if you wanted to make them better, you wanted to add a certain aspect to the project. All right. Okay. And then, so I'll go ahead and show you guys how Google Workspace connects to this. This is a really cool feature. So if you were to do, you guys can try this along with me if you want. When you do the @ sign, it will pop up all these things. Today we're just going to do Google Calendar. And then you can say, schedule focus time for me for 3 days a week on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday after my lunch. And then it's going to connect directly to your Google Calendar. Sometimes it asks before if it's okay, if it looks good before it does it. It didn't this time. But then you can just click on it. It'll bring you to the calendar. And then focus time, focus time, focus time. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Oops. Gosh. Sorry, I cannot see with this Zoom thing in the way. Okay. All right. And then I'll just show you guys something really quick. So in your browser on Chrome, you may have this. This is just Google or Gemini in Chrome. You can share your tab and ask it specific questions. So if I wanted to say, let's see, summarize this slide for me. It will look at the current content on your screen. And obviously it's kind of already summarized, but it can do whatever you ask to based on whatever screen you're sharing. And you can also do more than 2. You can share more than 2 tabs. If you don't want this, you can always double click and do unpin if you don't want it there. It hasn't been completely phased out, I don't believe, or rolled out. So not everybody may have it. You might want to update Chrome just to see if you have it if you want it. All right, so now we're going to move on to NotebookLM. Okay, so if you guys want to open NotebookLM tab. So here we have a few notebooks. I'm going to show you how to create a new notebook, and then I'm going to show you one that we already have. So this is what just like what the home screen looks like. If you click this, this is where you can upload your sources. So you can do it from Google Drive. You can upload a link to a website. Just know that for a website, it's not, if you upload a link, it's only going to look at that one page. It's not going to look at the entire website. And then you can upload a YouTube video. You can also copy and paste text into it. And you can just drag and drop files. You can also discover sources. So you can just search. You can also use deeper research for that if you want some better resources. So yeah, so this is what just a general, an untitled, nothing in it notebook looks like. Let's see. Okay. So I have this notebook that I made. I had some prior notes that I made when I was a business student. So this is just an idea of how professors could use this as well as students if they wanted to just use it on their own time. You can go ahead and upload any notes that you would have from a specific lesson or chapter. And what it will do is you can see the sources over here. You can check them, uncheck them if you don't want the information pulled from them. And then you can ask it specific questions. It will give you some questions based on the material that you have. So you can just click on it and it will give you the answer based on that content. Like I said before, it's only based on the content that you upload to it. And it might take a second. And there we go. And also here, if you click on these numbers, those are the numbers to the links. And this will show you exactly where this information is pulling from, which is really helpful. And then you can also save notes. So if you wanted to save a note about this, it'll go over here. Let's see. Okay. All right, now over here, these are the learning tools that I was talking about earlier. So you can do audio overview, which is basically like a podcast. So if you did want to create this for your class, you could create a podcast for your students to listen to on the drive. If they're a commuter, maybe they could listen to it on their drive up to class. And I'll kind of just show a little bit of that. I don't know if the sound is playing. I don't think it is. Well, normally there's a podcast here.
Check the volume,
Volume.
check the volume.
Oh, it would probably be on my computer, right?
Oh. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want it to, yeah, okay. But this is pretty simple. If you want to test out the podcast, you could just upload a few documents and then see how that would look. But it's pretty cool. It's like two people talking back and forth about the topic. And then up here, you also have video overview. That's here. So literally it will create a video, kind of like a YouTube style video on the content. You do want to be careful with these because sometimes it will spell things wrong. So you might just want to look through it before you share it with students. So it makes its own illustrations and everything. You can also download it. So you can download all of these. You can download the flashcards, the quizzes. This is the quiz. Oops. Here. 1 out of 15 quizzes. It'll even give them a hint. Flashcards. These two are new. They're in beta. Where's the infographic? Okay. And then also, the good thing about NotebookLM, which I mentioned before, is that you can share it with your students. So first, you're going to want to configure the notebook. So in order to do that, you're just going to go, oops, move this around. We'll go up here, configure your chat. So there's two options when you share the notebook. You can either share the entire notebook, which will include the learning tools, or you can just share the chat portion of it. So here, if you want to, you can put in here, act as a teaching assistant who never gives away the answers. So if you do have answers within the notes that you're providing the students, then you can just say, don't give the answers so they can use it more as a learning tool. You can have it as a learning guide or just default. Response length, you can change here as well. So you can really have it do anything here and save. So how you're going to share it is just go up here to the share button and then select who you want to share it with. You can decide if you want them to be viewer, editor, probably just viewer for students. You can decide to do a welcome note if you want it to say something when it sends a notification to them. And then this is where you're going to change the access. So you have full notebook or chat only. Now in chat only, you can do a quick preview of that, what that would look like for them. So as you can see, you can only chat with it. So it's basically like Gemini, just based on those sources that you have given it. And then for the student view for the entire notebook, this is what it's going to look like. So they can still have access to this, they just can't generate these things. So you could generate a quiz that you think looks good or a video that you approve of, put it on here, and then they can look at it, download it. So you can kind of control what they're looking at here. And then if you do want to, let's see, sometimes it will start hallucinating if you don't delete the chat often. So in order to do that, you just click these 3 buttons here, delete chat history, and then it will delete it. And I believe that is it for NotebookLM. All right. All right. Are there any questions?
One correction that it will now accept up to 50 inputs in the notebook
Oh, okay.
and then free one and 300 if there was a paid one.
Okay. All right. Do you have any questions?
I would add that I use NotebookLM. Meg actually gave the presentation on it in the class that I adjunct. And what I did in the very beginning of classes show this to the students and have them make a notebook LM where they can start building every material I give them. And then at the end, they have a complete wonderful resource to help them study for the final and grades, and they can use that for next class or in TAing or whatever they're doing.
Dave, I don't think they can hear you.
You guys can.
Oh, okay.
So I really like Notebook LM for educational resources, including for our own research. If I'm trying to research some code or some way to configure, a server, searching for things, getting everything in, it really makes a great study tool, a great research tool. But always, always, always fact check anything. It's not gospel. Even if you think it is, there could be some weird stuff in there.
Mike was asking if there are differences between the different models. So we usually use the fast model for Gemini. But what's the differences with the Pro and thinking?
So the differences, I'm not sure. Amanda, do you know?
Mostly speed and depth of processing.
Yeah, and I think for the math one, because there's the math model as well, so that would be better to use for things like that. And if you wanted to switch, you would just go to the
Multi-step reasoning.
chat
as
here.
well.
Yeah, so you can always, these are all of the options that you have with the one that we have for the school. So you have fast thinking or pro. I think we have. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
assuming we'd have that
Yeah, we
one.
have that.
Yeah.
And then thinking in Pro has limitations with how many prompts you can do. So we added that link to Mamta's response question.
All right. Any other questions?
Could you just remind people about the PII?
Oh,
Go
yes.
back to your first slide.
Just a reminder, let me go back to the first slide. For this presentation on Thursday, if you have specific questions about PII, this will answer a lot of your questions. Starts at 9. And then we also have, if you guys would like to, we have a survey that you go ahead and fill out, just what you thought of the presentation, if it was helpful, suggestions. Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody.
I have a question.
Yes.
I was told, given the institutional license, it's okay to share email addresses to Gemini, and phone numbers listed on the web are probably already in the training databases. Does that also fall under the umbrella of students submitting questions from textbooks through MyLab and Mastering, Cengage, WebAssign, the learning management systems that the school is using?
I think that's, yes, it should be covered, Michael, but again,
There's copyright.
but there's copyright issues.
Generally, you're not legally able to.
Yeah.
And also for questions that I have personally written, I shouldn't be telling my students to type those into the prompts either, right?
They probably will anyway. So you may want to design things in a way where doing that can be productive if they do something with what they get back.
So if a student asks me if they can do that and if there's legal ramifications, what specific legal ramifications should I tell them for typing in copyrighted information into Google Gemini, NotebookLM, or other AI prompting programs?
They probably wouldn't be caught, but if they were, they could be, hit with a copyright infringement lawsuit. But the publishers are not very likely to be doing that. They're more concerned with the large language models that already suck up that information into the training databases, which is why there's so many lawsuits out there right now against all of the large language model providers.
But I would treat it just like plagiarism, Michael,
Right.
and the library here has wonderful resources. The librarians on plagiarism, both research and student. So, we want to make sure that everything is going smooth with that, but also, if you treat it, that's why that the PII tomorrow, Thursday, our security team will be there. We were trying to get a lawyer as well. I don't think that's going to happen, but that's really a lot of those really honed in questions can be answered. Things are changing so quickly. We're just trying to tread water and make sure that we keep, as we go afloat here with the fasting change of this. So I like to look at it like, kind of like the old school days of MySpace where, or even social media, people should think it like anything that goes online could be remixed, reposted, or used against you. So even if we do have contracts, so, you do want to have students be wary of what they're putting online, whether it's in Gemini, ChatGPT, TikTok, it can come back, and hurt them, the school, or the faculty.
There was a question about data analysis, and for quantitative analysis, Claude and ChatGPT in general seem to be a little bit better, but they will be generating Python scripts or R code and so forth for that. So you have to be comfortable with R or Python to be able to use it.
Yeah.
Can I use NotebookLM to, you were saying with the audio? I just wondered if we could share more about how you can take audio on the go. A bit about that.
Oh yeah, you can just download it.
Yeah,
right.
download it.
Yeah.
Yeah, download the audio file.
If you, if the student version of this, if they wanted to download the podcast, you just click, click these three dots. Oh, I guess are they not able to download it? Maybe here. Ah, here we go.
Download. Perfect.
Yep. So you just click these three dots, and then you can also change the playback speed, but you could download the podcast.
And does it include the languages? Language
Should.
changes? Can I change it?
Yeah.
Where do I
don't-
change it?
I'm not sure.
Settings.
Settings. Oh yeah. Okay.
Gotcha.
So yeah, if you want to change the output language, like I said, there's 80 languages. Click on that. You can choose what language you want.
What's really cool about that is you can take like a presentation slide deck or a really long email or, a campus report, and you have a trip ahead of you, and you've just made an audiobook, and you can, bang out a lot of stuff. You can even take students' homework and have it summarized. And I'm not saying you grade on the fly while you're driving, but you could. And it's really cool. And it's two people, a man and woman, kind of having a conversation, making it fun.
Mhm.
It does a nice job. You even get little pauses and breaths and
Yeah.
repeated words and filler words to make it sound more realistic.
Actually, with the podcast, what I realized was with my HDB 400 course, because it is so dense, the syllabus is so dense, I always worry about students feeling scared. And the podcast did such a good job of putting a positive spin on it that even I did not know that my syllabus can sound so good and so thoughtful. So I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And it's supposedly, it can be interactive. You see that sign there for what she has open. You can
Yeah.
ask it questions while it's talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
A recent feature.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And a lot of students already use uploading materials or papers and things to get a simpler version of it. And in some cases, that may be useful as a starting point. I teach a capstone course where they're reading journal articles, and some of them are a little above them in terms of the math, but, and they're doing presentations on them. So if they put it in here, it gives them a basis, and they can query it to get a better understanding of some of the techniques. And they found that really helpful.
Yeah, definitely use it as a study guide if you'd like to share maybe the whole notebook in general, or if a student is getting behind, you can make something catered to them, and you can, in one of those things that you created, just share that one quiz or learning tool.
Okay. All set? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stop recording.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, it's on this computer.
Well, stop here.
Yes.
Yes.